Hello, I am live over here on Facebook and YouTube and over here at the Tarot Philosopher on Instagram. I am definitely having one of those try to put your car keys in the subway or try to open your front door with your Metro card experiences where like I'm looking over here and I have to, oh my God, I feel so like Luddite right now. I have to mouse on my computer to start this thing, but over here I have to press the screen and then sometimes I mix them up and I'm poking the screen on my computer. You do it too. I know you do. Hi, I'm Rebecca. This is Free Tarot Fridays. This is a weekly live stream that I do um, rather than explain myself as a part-time tarot card reader. Um, a while ago, I just thought rather than try to explain what it is to me or what I do, I would just show people how to do it. Every week I come here and I do a free live mini reading for somebody I haven't read for before, and sometimes talk about tarot related things. And I'm often asked, I thought it was interesting when I started reading parties and people would sit down and I'd say, well, what are we talking about? And they'd be like, what? And I don't come to it as fortune telling. And that's probably partially why I always say this, that it's good to bring yourself to the reading, right? It's good to have, they always say like, I have to have a question and you don't. It is perfectly fine to sit in front of me and be like, I don't know. I feel like I need guidance. I feel like I need to know something. And that itself is kind of a guidance for me. But I think sometimes you get a lot out of it if you come to the reading being like, I want to know about my career. I want to know about my love life, or I might take this job. What should I do? La la la. And then I was thinking about how then it's my job to get out of my own head, because if I'm in, I don't know if you read cards and have this issue, but every time someone says, like, for example, should I take this job? If I put out the cards and start being like, wait, but is this what the cards are saying? If she takes the job or if she doesn't take it, like it's dead in the water. So it's an interesting yes and, right? Like there's always a balancing thing with tarot where like, yes, bring yourself to it. Yes, think about it, but not too much. Also I like to tell people that if they come with a really specific question, blah, 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 there's no tarot card that says yes or no or next Tuesday. So it's kind of it's an art, not a science. I don't know. Hello to everybody who's watching this. Hello to everyone who watches it later, which today I think is everyone. My name is Rebecca. I'm doing a reading today for Abigail, which I don't know what her question is. I think I'm just going to try to like lay these cards out and do a general reading. Is anyone else annoyed that it seemed to be spring and it is now freezing? I'm feeling that a little bit. I haven't done any readings this week, actually, and there's always a feeling of like, do I remember how to do this? What is this? And every time I get into that, like, what is this? How should I answer? I'm always like, oh, right, get yourself out of it. It's not really about you. It's about that mysterious other thing that happens, like when you're writing. I may delete this live stream. I don't know if I'm going to leave it up. But what we're doing here today is we're doing a free mini reading for Abigail because she asked for one. And I'd like to see what the tarot has to tell her. So we're going to do, as I always call it, a quick and dirty live stream reading. Anytime anyone wants to book a full-length reading with me, you can visit me here or just send me a message and say, I want to get an actual reading with you. Or you can visit me at cleartarotnyc.com. I am doing fun events and stuff through the Bash usually, but you can also just reach out to me and be like, hey, I'm having a party. We love tarot, etc., etc. All right, housekeeping over. Abigail, what can I tell you? What can these cards tell you? Let's see what happens. Free Tarot Fridays. Well, I mean, what's kind of nice, I like to see this. I'm always promising myself I will wait and start talking when I get all the cards out. But I do like to see the Six of Wands for someone who I know is a professional artist, but really for anybody, because it's the first card that comes up. It's right on top of you. It's kind of saying like what's happening right now. And there's a kind of nice homecoming, being appreciated. Sometimes I look at this and I go, oh, good reviews, applause. There's a sense of like having been out wandering, gathering some new stuff and putting it together and being like, this is what I did. I'm coming home from the quest. I'm riding home and there's reeds of victory. And that's kind of nice to see. So there's kind of like, it's almost like you're at the end of a certain cycle. And I think I want to say to you in the time that we have that this is Self-care is a word that I just hate. I think it's, like, overused and it means nothing. It's, like, been chewed up completely. But it's almost like, um, you come home from a tour and you have to, decompress. Or, like, I was just talking to, a performer friend of mine about how I think at this point, I think there's no way to beat the post-show crash. I always used to think that, as an actor, like, if I closed a show and I got depressed about it, it would be okay if I just had another show lined up because then I would immediately get involved in that show and not have to think about being sad to let the other thing go, and that turned out to not be true. I would just start the new show with some post-show crash. So I feel like what the cards are saying to me is like, I don't know, I'm not a psychic, I'm not a fortune teller, I don't think this is a literal tour, but there's something you've completed a cycle. You made something that was successful. You came home, as it were. You rode into town. The crowds were like, "Hey, welcome home. That was great." And now there's kind of like everybody goes home and the curtain falls and it's like I'm back by myself, like I'm back to myself. And because the next two things coming up for me are this moon card, which to me is always like um, an unbidden revelation, right? The moon brings what is hidden to light. It's something floating up from the depths. It's, sometimes it's recovered memories, or it's like suddenly understanding something you've been wondering about for a long time, but it's something that comes up from the depths, a revelation that can't be ignored. And it's like what's happening now, which is why I say, like, let's rest, let's take care of the self, and let's be in tune with that, because sometimes that can be kind of, I think it's probably been in the works for a little while. Maybe you were working on something and like it was stirring up some stuff in here, and now that thing is floating to the surface. So we've got the moon, followed by this guy who like, like sometimes I like to point to the bandage on this guy's head and it's like, okay, so maybe we're overburdened. Maybe we're doing a little too much work. Maybe we've forgotten where our boundaries are and where other people's and where other people start and we end. The wands are our spiritual life, our creative life, the right brain, the part of us that's linked to everything else. And that's the world that you work in, and you've been doing some really wonderful work and being lauded for that. And now things are personal. Now you need some rest, you need some reflection time. And I'm saying that because the moon coming up followed by this guy makes me be like, oh, there might be like a little bit of pain or exhaustion or kind of delayed reaction, delayed emotional reaction that you need recovery. It's like, a hard workout, you need a recovery period. So what else can I tell you in the time we have together? I mean, I think there's some like financial tensions. We're coming out of a time where there's been like, I think, like I say, good reviews and applause and stuff like that. But there's a kind of, there's a tension around Pentacles, people say, are money or stuff. There's sometimes just like end results or like the things we want and need and have, the stuff we can touch, the houses, the body, even health. So immediate past is this kind of feeling of lack, of less than, of frustration. That's like where we want to be is right over there and we're not there yet. And what we have coming up is like some ingenious solutions to that. But this is also like comes with a little bit of a caveat, because like I say, I think rest and taking care of yourself is really important, because you guys have always been good at being like, we don't have enough. Okay, let's figure it out. We're going to juggle things. We're going to like move this. We're going to have less of this. We're going to have more of that. We're going to like come up with insanely smart solutions. But I often, when I look at the Two of Pentacles, I'm like, this guy is making it work. He's making things work. He's taking like, two coins and making infinity out of them. But he's also juggling while standing on a tightrope. And like, that is impressive, but is it sustainable? So I think in the next little while, something you've always been really good at is doing the juggling while standing on a tightrope and like making ends meet. And part of me is like, yeah, you'll pull through it. And also like, let's take care of the health. Let's rest. Let's call in backup. Just because like, how many times do we want to go through this where like, this is what's needed? This kind of tap dancing is needed to make ends meet, financially, or just in terms of comfort. It might be time to like, to level up. And the reason I'm saying that is that the end result of this whole reading, which we would talk much more in depth about if we had more time, is this beautiful Empress card, the universal mother, divine abundance, endless love. She's a major card. She's not a person. She's a force of the universe, and I don't know whether this is literally the Empress, like having another child, but like this sort of like, don't worry, universal mom, everything's going to be fine. what I have to give you is infinite, is the end result of this reading. So what's coming up, like sometimes people see the Empress and are like, ooh, motherhood. I'm not as literal about that, but I do think like right now things are like a little dicey, you as you are right now. The Chariot, life is pulling you along and kind of pulling you in two directions. Things do not feel sustainable. Things feel a little bit like, this horse wants to go one way, the other horse wants to go the other way. Things like the Chariot to me is the speed of life. It's when you have like nothing going on and then suddenly you have two job offers and one of them is on this side of the country and one of them is on the other side. It's like chaos. So everything feels a little stretched thin right now, but we are coming to a place of ease, of abundance, of joy, of like kind of being able to marinate in love and happiness. So I think the way to that is to offer yourself some of that kind of like syrupy pouring on of care, and to call in favors and support. I think like concrete support, like things that you need help with that you can do by yourself, but do you have to do them by yourself? I'm interested, and I'm just going to leave you with this, but I'm interested in my friend, the devil, showing up in hopes and or fears. And to me, there's a little bit of an energy I get from this reading of like, we got to keep the wolf from the door, And so when like there's not enough, it takes like very little to trigger a kind of historical panic, that like when like we have kind of enough and then it just dips below, we go right to like, oh my God, destitute, trouble, disaster, places we've been before we don't want to be. And I don't just mean like in terms of material things, but there's a kind of fear of that. There's a kind of fear of like the destructive elements in life, destructive elements within within your relationships. Like, this kind of feeling of like, if I'm not vigilant, that's coming at me, and I think this spread is kind of saying that's old, and I think it's just time for a review of that, of like, we're still kind of living this sort of, in terms of what we feel we deserve and what we can make and have, we're living a little bit hand to mouth, and there's a kind of always a feeling of like a little bit of panic. And I think this year, the Empress shows up to kind of show you where there is abundance, where there's plenty, where there's respite, I think it's going to take a little bit of like taking a step back, like doing this kind of self-examination, and rest, and seeing like, looking over the life and being like, what about my life concept or my beliefs need some overhauling? Where am I still kind of living like it's an emergency, but it's not actually an emergency? Where am I assuming I don't have any help, where I do actually have help? So because this is a fast internet reading, that is where I'm going to leave it for now. Please feel free to ask me questions. Contact me if we want to get in depth about any of this, or if a couple months down the line, you're like, I actually would like a real reading from Rebecca. You know where to find me. You guys, this was a short free Tarot Fridays. I will see you next week. If you would like to be the person getting the free minute reading, please drop me a line. I will schedule you in. Ask me any questions you want, and I will see you in the future. Bye.